Brooke Logan believes she finally came out on top. After months of heartbreak, betrayal, and emotional chaos, she's standing tall while everyone else seems to be picking up the pieces. But what if the victory she's celebrating isn't a victory at all? What if someone else has been quietly winning the entire time? And what Brooke doesn't see could change everything. But the real story was only beginning. For years, Brooke has fought battles that never truly ended. Every time she thought she secured her future, another secret emerged from the shadows. Yet this time felt different. This time she believed she had regained control. The people around her seemed convinced she had finally gotten what she wanted. But someone was watching very carefully. That someone may have been Katie. While Brooke focused on the obvious conflicts, Katie appeared calm, almost unusually calm. She wasn't demanding attention. She wasn't making dramatic moves. Instead, she stayed in the background, observing every conversation and every mistake. Was she simply being supportive? Or was she waiting for the perfect moment? That's where things became suspicious. Brooke interpreted Katie's silence as acceptance. She assumed her sister had stepped aside and moved on. But silence can be dangerous. Sometimes the quietest person in the room knows more than anyone else. Sometimes they're planning several steps ahead. And Katie may have understood something Brooke completely missed. No one realized what was unfolding behind the scenes. Before we go further, if you love bold and the beautiful drama, shocking twists, and deep character breakdowns, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Because the next twist changes everything. At first glance, Brooke seemed untouchable. Friends rallied around her. Her confidence returned. Even her critics appeared unusually quiet. Yet hidden beneath the surface was a growing tension nobody could ignore. Why were certain conversations suddenly ending when Brooke entered the room? The answer was more complicated than anyone expected. Katie noticed details others overlooked. A nervous glance, an unfinished sentence, a reaction that didn't match the situation. Small clues often reveal the biggest truths. While Brooke celebrated today's success, Katie seemed focused on tomorrow's consequences. And that difference would prove crucial. Then came the first major twist. Information began surfacing that didn't support Brooke's version of events. Nothing explosive at first. Just enough inconsistencies to make people ask questions. Questions have a way of spreading fast. Once they start, they become impossible to control. And those questions were about to reach the wrong people. Brooke remained confident. Why wouldn't she? From her perspective, the battle was already over. But Katie understood something important. Winning an argument isn't the same as winning trust. And trust, once damaged, can disappear overnight. That realization would soon become impossible to ignore. Meanwhile, unexpected alliances started forming. People who rarely agreed suddenly found common ground. Their concerns weren't necessarily about Brooke herself. They were about what might happen next. Was everyone seeing the same warning signs? The growing uncertainty pointed toward something bigger. Katie didn't need to convince anyone. She simply listened. Sometimes listening is more powerful than speaking. As emotions intensified around her, she gathered information piece by piece. Like assembling a puzzle, she was creating a picture nobody else could fully see. And the final image was startling. The second major twist arrived without warning. Someone Brooke trusted made a decision she never expected. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic, but it shifted the balance instantly. Suddenly, assumptions that seemed solid began falling apart. And Brooke didn't realize the ground was moving beneath her feet. Think about it. How often do victories create blind spots? When people feel secure, they stop looking for danger. They stop questioning outcomes. Brooke may have done exactly that. Meanwhile, Katie continued examining every angle. That difference would soon have enormous consequences. Rumors started spreading through familiar circles. Nobody knew exactly where they originated, yet they carried enough truth to gain traction. Once a narrative takes hold, Controlling it becomes nearly impossible. Brooke found herself reacting instead of leading. And that's never a comfortable position to be in. Katie's strength wasn't manipulation. It was patience. She understood timing better than anyone expected. Instead of forcing events, she allowed them to develop naturally. Sometimes the strongest move is doing nothing at all. And that strategy was about to pay off. Then came a revelation that stunned everyone. Certain people began viewing Katie differently. No longer as someone caught in the middle, but as someone who had quietly navigated a complicated situation with remarkable skill. The perception shift was impossible to miss. Brooke sensed something changing. The confidence that once energized her started giving way to uncertainty. Why were reactions different now? Why did conversations feel colder? Why did support seem less automatic? The answers were hiding in plain sight. Here's where the story takes another unexpected turn. Katie wasn't trying to defeat Brooke. At least not directly. Her goal may have been something entirely different. Protection, stability, long-term security. And that changed the entire interpretation of her actions. Suddenly, everything looked different. People began revisiting past events through a new lens. Moments that once seemed insignificant now carried deeper meaning. Decisions that appeared random suddenly looked strategic. Was Katie planning all of this? Or was she simply adapting better than everyone else? The mystery only grew deeper. As tensions escalated, Brooke found herself facing a reality she hadn't anticipated. Public victories can be temporary. Emotional victories can be fragile. But earning lasting respect requires something else entirely. And that lesson was about to hit hard. The third major twist changed the conversation completely. Several key players started acknowledging Katie's influence. Not because she demanded recognition. Because her choices consistently produced results. One by one, people began realizing she may have understood the situation better than anyone. That realization sent shockwaves through the entire story. Brooke wasn't losing everything. Far from it. But she may have misunderstood what success actually looked like. While she focused on immediate outcomes, Katie focused on long-term positioning. And in high-stakes emotional battles, those are rarely the same thing. The difference was becoming impossible to deny. The atmosphere shifted again. People who once viewed Brooke as the clear winner started reconsidering. Not because she failed. Because Katie's approach suddenly appeared smarter, steadier, and more effective. And perception often shapes reality. Who truly won? Was it the person standing in the spotlight? Or the person quietly influencing events from behind the scenes? The answer depends on what happens next. And that's exactly why everyone is paying attention. Because the final chapter hasn't been written yet. Then came the mind-blowing realization. Brooke's apparent triumph may have created new vulnerabilities, while Katie's restraint may have strengthened her position dramatically. The woman who seemed passive could actually be holding the strongest hand at the table. And nobody saw that coming. Now the biggest question remains. If Katie truly played this better than Brooke, what is her next move? Will Brooke recognize what's happening before it's too late? Or will another shocking revelation completely change the game once again? The answer may be closer than anyone thinks. And it could alter everything. Just when everyone thought the dust was settling, a new complication emerged. Brooke began noticing subtle shifts in loyalty. People who once rushed to support her were suddenly taking longer to respond. Was it caution? Was it doubt? Or had someone quietly changed the conversation behind closed doors? The truth was hiding where nobody expected. Katie never celebrated. That was the strange part. Most people would enjoy the moment if things were finally going their way. But Katie remained focused, almost concerned. It was as if she knew the current situation was only a small piece of a much larger puzzle. And another piece was about to fall into place. Meanwhile, whispers started circulating about a secret conversation. No one knew exactly what was said. No one could confirm who initiated it. Yet the impact was undeniable. After that meeting, several attitudes changed overnight. Something important had happened behind the scenes. Brooke felt it immediately. The energy around her was different. Smiles seemed forced. Compliments sounded rehearsed. Even casual interactions carried an uncomfortable tension. Why did everything suddenly feel uncertain? The answer pointed toward an unexpected source. Then Katie made a move nobody anticipated. It wasn't aggressive. It wasn't emotional. It was thoughtful, measured, and surprisingly effective. Instead of creating conflict, she created clarity. And clarity can be dangerous for people relying on assumptions. That's when hidden truths started surfacing. What made the situation even more complicated was Brooke's growing frustration. The harder she tried to regain control, the more attention she drew to the very issues she wanted to avoid. Have you ever noticed how desperation often creates the exact outcome people fear? That pattern was becoming impossible to ignore. Another shocking twist soon followed. A person Brooke believed was firmly in her corner began asking difficult questions. Not accusations, just questions. But questions have power. Once they're asked publicly, everyone starts searching for answers. And those answers threaten to change everything. Katie watched carefully. She wasn't pushing anyone toward a conclusion. She simply allowed people to think for themselves. In a world full of pressure and persuasion, that approach stood out. And surprisingly, it made her more influential than ever. The ripple effects were only beginning. Then came a moment nobody expected. Brooke and Katie found themselves facing the same challenge from completely different perspectives. One saw it as a threat. The other saw it as an opportunity. That difference revealed more about their strategies than words ever could. And it exposed a critical weakness. For the first time, Brooke started questioning her assumptions. What if she had misread the situation? What if the victory she celebrated wasn't as secure as she believed? And what if Katie understood the real stakes all along? Those questions refused to go away. As pressure mounted, more people began reevaluating recent events. Little details that once seemed meaningless suddenly felt important. Patterns emerged. Connections appeared. And a completely different narrative started taking shape. The emerging picture was deeply unsettling. Then came perhaps the most surprising revelation yet. Katie's greatest advantage wasn't intelligence, influence, or timing. It was credibility. People trusted her motives. They believed she was acting for the right reasons. And in emotional battles, credibility is often the strongest currency. That realization changed the entire game. Brooke finally recognized the challenge in front of her. This wasn't about proving she was right. It was about rebuilding confidence among people who were beginning to question everything. The problem: trust takes years to build and moments to lose. And time was running out. At the same moment, an unexpected opportunity appeared. One decision could potentially shift momentum back in Brooke's favor. But it came with serious risks. Should she take the chance? Or would that only make matters worse? The choice carried enormous consequences. And that's where the story becomes truly unpredictable. Katie may have positioned herself perfectly, but even the best plans can unravel when new secrets emerge. The real question is this: what hidden information is still waiting to be revealed? Because if the rumors are true, the next revelation won't just affect Brooke or Katie. It could shock everyone involved. And the fallout may be unlike anything we've seen before. Just when it seemed the battle lines were finally clear, a new mystery surfaced. Someone close to the situation appeared nervous. Far more nervous than the circumstances seemed to justify. What were they afraid of? And more importantly, what did they know that everyone else didn't? The answers were far more explosive than anyone imagined. Brooke sensed danger approaching, but she couldn't identify where it was coming from. Every instinct told her something wasn't right. Yet each time she looked for proof, she came up empty-handed. Was she becoming paranoid? Or was someone deliberately keeping her in the dark? That uncertainty became a problem of its own. Katie, meanwhile, remained unusually composed. She wasn't acting like someone under pressure. In fact, she seemed more confident than ever. That confidence didn't come from luck. Came from knowledge. The question was simple. What exactly did she know? And why was she keeping it hidden? Then another twist hit without warning. Information that had been buried for weeks suddenly resurfaced. People who had ignored it before were now paying close attention. Timing is everything, and this timing felt almost too perfect. Someone may have been pulling strings all along. The atmosphere changed overnight. Conversations became guarded. Trust became scarce. Even long-time allies started choosing their words carefully. It felt less like a family dispute and more like a chess match where every move carried serious consequences. And one player appeared to be several moves ahead. Brooke's confidence took another hit when she realized something unsettling. The narrative was no longer hers to control. Others were defining the story now. Others were shaping opinions. And every day that passed made it harder to reverse the trend. The situation was slipping through her fingers. But then came a shocking development nobody expected. A source believed to be completely neutral suddenly revealed a crucial detail. It wasn't enough to solve the mystery outright, but it pointed everyone in a very specific direction. And that direction led somewhere dangerous. Who could Brooke trust now? Every ally seemed uncertain. Every conversation carried hidden meaning. Every reassurance felt incomplete. When doubt enters a relationship, it spreads quickly. And doubt was spreading everywhere. The emotional damage was growing by the hour. Katie finally made a statement that caught everyone off guard. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't emotional. Yet those few carefully chosen words changed the mood instantly. Sometimes the simplest comments carry the greatest weight. And this comment landed like a thunderbolt. Suddenly, people began connecting dots they had never connected before. Events that seemed unrelated now appeared linked. Decisions that once looked random now looked intentional. The story everyone thought they understood was transforming into something completely different. And the new version was much darker. Then came what may be the biggest twist yet. Evidence emerged suggesting that Brooke and Katie had both misunderstood a key part of the situation. Imagine fighting a battle for months, only to discover the real conflict was somewhere else entirely. That possibility changed everything. The revelation sent shockwaves through everyone involved. If the new information was accurate, neither woman had been seeing the full picture. There was another influence at work. Another agenda. Another player operating from the shadows. And their identity remained a mystery. Brooke's focus shifted immediately. For the first time, she stopped looking at Katie as the primary obstacle. Instead, she began asking a different question. Who benefited from all this confusion? Who gained power while everyone else was distracted? The answer was chilling. Katie reached a similar conclusion. Suddenly, old disagreements seemed less important. The real threat might not have been sitting across from her at all. It might have been standing quietly beside them the entire time. And that possibility was terrifying. As pieces finally started falling into place, both women realized they had been reacting to symptoms rather than causes. The deeper truth had remained hidden beneath layers of emotion, loyalty, and misunderstanding. Now the truth was beginning to surface. But revelations come with consequences. The more people learned, the more uncomfortable they became. Some wanted answers. Others wanted silence. And a few seemed desperate to prevent the full story from coming out. Their behavior raised even more questions. One unexpected confrontation pushed everything closer to the edge. Words were exchanged. Accusations were implied. Long-buried frustrations finally came pouring out. It was the kind of moment that changes relationships forever. And there was no taking it back. Brooke found herself standing at a crossroads. Continue fighting the old battle or confront the larger threat that was emerging. Neither option was easy. Neither option guaranteed success. But a decision had to be made. And the clock was ticking. Katie faced a choice of her own. Reveal everything she knew and risk total chaos, or keep certain secrets buried to protect the people she cared about. Sometimes doing the right thing comes at a painful cost. And that cost was about to become very real. Now, the stage is set for the most dramatic chapter yet. Brooke believes she finally understands what's happening. Katie believes she's prepared for what's coming. But what if they're both wrong? What if the biggest secret hasn't been exposed yet? Because according to growing rumors, a revelation is coming that could shatter alliances, destroy trust, and rewrite the entire story. And when that secret finally emerges, nobody will be ready for the consequences.